Okay, this is very exciting. Let's get started on our vaad. Okay, the topic of our vaad is going to be habits. Now, when we talk about habits, we're gonna talk today about a little bit introducing what the breadth of what we're going to be doing, of what's included in habits, and what the limitation is. Okay, now because the videos are going to be, the vaads each day are going to be short, therefore it's important for us to understand that there's lots which we're not going to be doing. Okay, any questions? Number one, in terms of depth, any questions about makoros, whether it's makoros on the Mada or makoros on the Torah? I will put some of the makoros below, but you should feel comfortable asking questions, whether on the WhatsApp or by email, which will be underneath. Also, as you feel perfectly comfortable continuing up, and if it's a general enough topic, we'll either cover it also in another VOD, or I'll relate to it with the group. That's number one. Number two is assume also that everything which we start to work on is also, there's no topic which is going to be completed within one VOD. Okay? The topic which we're going to actually touch upon today in terms of what a habit is and what the limitation of a habit is and why we're dealing with habits at all, okay, is going to bump very much into the issue which we're going to be dealing with in the next VOD, which is the question of Bechira Chavshis and free will, and to what extent are we in control of our actions, and can we be in control of our actions, which is a very important topic to deal with whenever we walk into the world of neuroscience for sure, and habits in specific. Okay, so when we talk about habits, what are we talking about? I'm going to tell you in a second. Let's see in a second how broad it is, and then how limited it is. Okay, so at its core, we're going to define a habit as any learned automatic response. Okay, when we say learned, it means there are certain things which we understand what HaKadosh Baruch Hu has placed in us as a teva. Okay, but habits were specifically relating to things which we have developed because in some way we have learned it. We're going to see there's different ways to learn it. Okay, the most basic way to learn it is that we have practiced it, but we're going to see that there's other ways to learn a habit besides just ourselves doing something. So first of all, it means it's something which is learned, something which we have learned, a response which is learned. Number two, which you're going to jump to the end, we're talking about responses, okay? We're not talking about any activities, we're talking about things which we do which are in response to something else, okay? That something happens and automatically we respond to it, okay? Now let's get very broad. Now we talk about automatic. When we say automatic, we mean that it's something which happens without thought, okay, or before thought, okay, that instantaneously and neurologically, and that we're going to understand also, okay, instantaneously and automatically without thought, we automatically, after something happens, we then enter into a habit. Now we're going to talk about in breadth right now about three types or worlds of habit. Okay, we're used to talking about habits specifically in terms of behaviors, okay, like chewing our nails or brushing our teeth or those type of habits. But while behaviors and actions are certainly going to be one type of automatic response, but it's not limited to that. Okay, we can have habits of emotion that automatically when something happens, we automatically feel something. Or when something happens or we see something, we automatically think something, okay? So the three basic areas which we'll start with, okay, are going to be habits of action, habits of emotion, and habits of thought, okay? Which then, even if we then step in after that habit, we've already automatically, okay, without thinking, walked into a certain process. Now, I want to now enter into, okay, and the ma'amar which we're going to look at today very briefly is going to be something by the Alter of Kelm, actually brought down by Rav Dov Katz in Tenuat HaMusar. Okay, and you're going to see that over the course of the VOD, we're really going to be entering the base medrash of Kelm. Okay, whether it's the Alter of Kelm, whether it's Rabbeinu Yerucham, whether it's Rav Volbe, whether it's Rav Dessler, okay, they're going to be very prominent in the discussion. Okay, and here whenever we discuss the question of habit, we enter into one basic rule when it comes to machshava. And that's the opposite of habit is going to be mindfulness, is going to be being a bardas, is going to be doing an action because we are deciding, because we have thought beforehand to do that action. And the opposite of doing something out of habit is doing something out of mindfulness. Now, being a bardas is very central in the world of Kelm. Rav Wolbe has an entire sefer just on becoming a bardas. And when he discusses Rav Yerucham, he talks about that as the definition of Ben Adam. Okay, we know that in the Rambam, in Shmona Prakim, he defines the person. And what defines the person is his ability to be purposeful. Certainly what defines him as godly is his ability to act purposefully. And that means thoughtfully. Okay? So theoretically, every habit should be something which is bad. Every habit is something which we want to get out of. We want to be more mindful. Okay? So here, the Alter of Kelm, okay, takes us on a very important journey. He says, of course, as people, we would like to be more and more and more mindful. We'd like to be more and more and more thoughtful. That said, HaKadosh Baruch Hu created us in a way that we do develop habits, okay? And that is necessary. It is not only good, but it is necessary. If we needed to think about every single stage of every single process that we did, everything would take us forever, okay? There is an aspect of where certain things have become intuitive, and to a certain level where we're going to have to see by midos specifically, as opposed to actions, by midos specifically, there's an aspect of midos where part of the goal is for certain midos to become intuitive, as opposed to a chovat ha'maaseh, where there's an action which is our responsibility. By midos, there's going to be a side where we're going to see where our responsibility is not only to act with Rachmanos, but to become a Rachman. Okay? There's going to be a side where when it comes to midos, part of our goal is for those midos to become intuitive. Okay? So while at the same time we do want to be mindful, we do want to be thoughtful, we know that there are aspects which we do want to become intuitive. We do want to become automatic. We want ourselves to become something and not just to be able to act in a certain way. Okay? So there's two aspects. Number one, there's habits where we acknowledge the fact that we are creatures of habit. Okay? And while we do want to become more mindful, we want to make sure that those habits are positive habits. Okay? And then we want to take those habits which we have and be mindful about them. Part of the aspect which we're going to delve into more in the future, the concept of Nekudas Bechira in Rav Dessler, is that there's certain things we don't have to be concerned about developing good habits, because there will always be something on that threshold which is not a habit. Okay? We would like there to be a situation where there are certain good activities which we have already inculcated and made part of our habit, and that is our schar. If it's something which we have been involved in creating, then it's not. Then it's even though it's automatic, we get schar for it. Okay, but there is always going to be something which we're working about on the mindful level also. So if I come back, okay, and I want to finish up for today. Okay? The tension between mindfulness and habit is one where we are creatures of habit. Okay? If I can even start off with if I can even bring the primary chinuch pasuk of the Alter of Kelm comes from Eov, where in Eov in Eov Perek Yud Aleph we say Ayer Pere Odem Yulod. Okay, man was created as an animal, first as a creature, a wild creature. Okay, we have that level where we are automatic, and we are like creatures, and we're not thoughtful. And in fact, he even is he changes the lashon. He's dorish. It's Adam yivaled. Man is not just born as a creature. Man is born out of a creature. He starts off as a creature, and then he bears himself. He becomes a ben Adam. Okay? So as we work into this world as we walk into this world of habit, what we're walking into is understanding, becoming aware. What are our habits? What are our patterns, our habits? Let's understand that ayir pere, okay, which we are creators, which is built into us, and let us become not only mindful of our habits, but now in control, or control might be a little bit intense, okay, but involved in that process of forming our habits, changing our habits, and developing our habits. Okay, so that's the first. The extent of habits is habits of thought, habits of emotion, habits of action. The limitation of habits, okay, is that we're working towards a mindfulness. We're working towards being involved in those habits. We are aware of the fact that we want certain things to become automatic and that we need certain things to be automatic. Okay? This is the world of habits which we're going to start to walk into. Okay? B'atzlacha, let's start walking together. Okay, if I can leave you off just with a small avoda, we'd like to finish what we want. We're going to start off with just trying to make lists or think for ourselves, okay, of examples of automatic. Let's not talk about behaviors because that's too obvious to a certain extent, but we want to train ourselves also. Start thinking of automatic emotions, situations where we automatically feel something. We walk in, whether it's in a certain type of relationship, okay, whether it's within a certain type of situation where we know, obviously when we get to meet the sakas, we're going to see that's all about automatic response. That we'll get to. Okay, but right now when we talk about, let's say, a scenario we walk into and we automatically have an immediate feeling, or we automatically have a certain type of thought or thought process. Okay, so let's take different scenarios. I'll give examples. Let's say, you know what? I'll throw examples into the group, okay, to give thought to. And I'm hoping to keep the videos shorter than this, shorter than 10 minutes. But as Akdama, it was a little bit longer. Okay, Batzlacha, I'm looking forward to this together. Okay, I hope that the videos will be coming out probably about 3 times a week. With a certain kaviyos, it would be somewhat paradoxical to be dealing with a vaad on habits which didn't have a certain level of kaviyos, of stability. Okay?